Tax court is the classic pay-later court. If the IRS proposes a deficiency and you disagree, you can petition the U.S. tax court without paying the disputed tax first. That's a huge exam favorite: tax court versus refund litigation. If you choose district court or the Court of Federal Claims, you generally pay first, then sue for a refund. Don't mix those up. Most tax court cases start with a notice of deficiency, the 90-day letter. You must file a petition by the deadline, or the IRS can assess and move into collections. If the notice is addressed outside the U.S., you generally get 150 days instead of 90. On the EA exam, they love the deadline and the trigger. It's the notice date, not when you finally open the mail. Here's a practical flow. A 30-day letter is your exam report and your path into IRS appeals. You can file a formal protest and try to settle without court. A 90-day letter is different. It's statutory, and it opens the door to tax court. Even after you petition, the file often gets routed to appeals again because the system still prefers settlement over trial. Tax court issues two main decision types. Regular decisions are for new ground, when the court is deciding an issue for the first time or making a significant interpretation. Memorandum decisions are more routine. The law is already established, and the court is applying it to the facts. Exam tip: if you see first impression, think regular decision. Jurisdiction is another heavy test area. Tax court commonly hears deficiency cases, certain collection actions, worker classification disputes, and transferee liability issues. It also has specialized areas like innocent spouse relief and whistleblower awards. The key is to recognize the category, not memorize every label. If the question smells like IRS says you owe, that's usually deficiency jurisdiction. Now, who can show up in tax court? Any taxpayer can represent themselves pro se, but practice before the IRS is not the same as practice before the tax court. EAs and CPAs must be admitted to the tax court, which generally means passing a separate tax court exam and meeting the court's requirements. Attorneys are the exception. They can practice without that separate tax court exam. Put it together with a common fact pattern. If a taxpayer wants to avoid paying first, they choose tax court after the notice of deficiency. If they want district court instead, they generally must pay the full contested amount and sue for a refund. And if they want an EA or CPA to appear in tax court, that practitioner needs tax court admission. On exam questions, one word often decides it: petition. Marcus was audited, and the IRS disallowed a large business deduction. He took the case to U.S. tax court and won. He hired a lawyer to file the petition, and he paid court filing fees. The question is, can Marcus recover the legal expenses he incurred to defend his position? Consider the choices, including a conditional yes if certain requirements are met. Think about it. The correct answer is yes, but only if the court agrees with the taxpayer on most issues and finds the IRS position was unjustified. A prevailing taxpayer can be awarded reasonable litigation and administrative costs, including attorney fees and court costs, but only if statutory requirements are met. The tempting wrong answer is that only filing fees are reimbursed. Fees can be included, but not automatically. A case in the U.S. tax court is commenced by what action? You'll see options like an IRS impasse, a formal protest, the filing of a petition, or a taxpayer's appeal. Focus on the procedural trigger that actually starts the court case. Think about it. The correct answer is the filing of a petition. A tax court case begins when the taxpayer files a petition with the tax court, generally after receiving a statutory notice like a notice of deficiency, and it must be timely. The tempting wrong answer is formal protest, but that's for IRS appeals during the administrative process, not for starting a court case.